Hello, this is Thomas, K4SWL. If you're new here, I like to do real-time, real-life amateur radio field activation videos. And today I'm at Lake James State Park. I'd say it's actually not a bad day. When I arrived here, maybe 10 minutes ago or so, it was pouring down rain, and it's stopped now. I almost saw the sun peek out there a little bit. We have a front moving through. Probably going to get really windy tonight. Back up at my home in the mountains. We're even expecting some wintry mix tonight. I'm not going to be up there tonight, though. Actually staying here in the foothills to help my parents with a few things. And I've got the park to myself. Seems like the theme normally when I come to Lake James. You know, it's a Thursday morning. It's cold. It's probably 42 degrees. I mean, chilly. It feels chillier because it's a little wet. But it's very doable. Actually very pleasant weather for activating. And I took my gear out a little bit ago. I got a phone call that delayed me a little bit. But set up my gear in this picnic shelter, which I completely have to myself today. So why not use it, right? I set it up when it was still raining. And now I kind of stopped and I was thinking, well, maybe I should just move out here. But I'm kind of risking it because I've got a radio today that is not designed for really wet weather. And I'm pairing this radio. I haven't had this radio out in the field and I can't remember how long. But I love this radio and I use it all the time. But I use it in the shack. Let me introduce you to it in case you're not familiar. I actually brought along with me today the Mission RGO One HF transceiver. Let's see, let me set up the camera here. And I'll tell you what we're going to do, because I'm pairing it with an antenna I've never paired with it before. Let's get this set up. This radio is a really unique radio, in my opinion. Boris in Bulgaria, and Boris, I can't remember his call sign now, LZ2 something. He designed this radio. I first ran into him at Hamvention in, I think it was 2018. And he had a prototype of this radio at a little booth out in the Hamvention flea market in Xenia, so at the Greene County Fairground. And I saw the radio and instantly loved the ergonomics because you can see everything spaced nicely. It's kind of a traditional radio in that way. It's sort of a legacy looking radio, you know. The encoder has a really nice feel to it, but this radio is surprisingly lightweight. And one of the reasons why is it's not actually a 100 watt radio like it looks like. It's really a 50 to 55 watt radio. So the power on it is way more than I ever use in QRP. But if I'm ever in a situation where I need a little more power, it has it without going all the way up to 100 watts. These are maybe what you would call like a cottage industry radio. Boris makes small production runs of these and sells them. They are kind of a hands-on radio in that you know, they're done in small production runs. They've got a really tight-knit community of owners, and I feel really fortunate to have one of these. And I've used it now for over 2 years. I helped him beta test these, and they're just a fantastic radio. The characteristics of the receiver are phenomenal. The radio itself, it's a wonderful radio. And you don't hear me talk about it a whole lot because this is in use in my shack way more than I use it in the field, mainly because I never need 55 or 50 watts of power in the field. So I tend to take my smaller, lighter weight radios to the field, but this is used in the shack all the time. And with thinking about that, I need to make sure I've got it configured for here as well when I use it here in the field. But it's actually a great field radio because it has these fans on the back. They're very quiet. Of course, I'm never pushing this thing to the limit using QRP power. Has wonderful QSK and just overall just wonderful characteristics. It's just a beautiful radio. And I have neglected this little guy. I have not taken it to the field enough, and today I'm going to change that. But it may think that it's going to get like this incredible antenna, but it's not today because I've decided to pair it with my AX1 because why not, right? And the thing is, my RGO One has the internal antenna tuner option. Now I can't easily hook this up to the back of the radio. I could, but I'd have to kind of rework some things on the back of it. But I don't really want to do that. I'm going to use my little tiny tripod today, and we're going to hook this up. I've got, I guess this is a 2-foot piece of RG316. I need a little BNC to PL259 adapter because this actually has a PL259 on it, just like, or an SO239, just like a lot of similar radios. And so I'll need to use this in order to hook it up to the back of the radio. But since it's got an internal ATU, it's a very short run to the antenna. And we're going to see what we can do today on 20 meters. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I don't know. The other really cool thing about the RGO One is it also has a ground lug on it, so it's very easy to hook up a counterpoise if I wanted to hook the radio directly up to the antenna. But I'll actually be using this little AX1 tripod adapter, which also has a counterpoise lug on it, so make it really easy to do. So let's go ahead and set this up. I need to put my glasses on. Now, the only thing I've done in advance at all is I prepared my logs here. And I wanted to do that off camera just to save a little bit of time here. If you know me, you know that I tend to include everything in my videos. So let's make sure I put in the name of the radio that I paired with this so I can remember later. And so let's go ahead and hook this up. So this is really simple. You just simply connect this. It has a standard tripod fitting on it. I just open up the base. It doesn't even have to be like up really high or anything. I'm probably just going to leave the legs as they are. Plug in the feed line, if you want to call it that. It's so short. Can you even call that a feed line? Of course you can. Now I need to prepare this because I actually have my AX1 set up for mounting directly to the radio. So I'll take this off. And I need to tighten this up a little bit so that it's sitting properly. And make sure this is set to 20 meters. That's where we're going to go today, I think. Hook it up like that. Again, readjust, make sure it's kind of level-ish. Pull out a telescoping whip and connect it up the top. This is one wonky thing about my AX1s is sometimes this plastic piece kind of free floats in here. I can tighten it down, but it'll usually untighten itself eventually. Not a big deal, but I kind of wish that were more fixed. I want to get in there and like glue it or something. So I'll be a little rougher with it. Okay, now I'm just going to extend this. That's all I'm going to do is just extend this like 4-foot whip or whatever it is. So let's go ahead and do that. And there we go. And I'll set this up behind the radio over here. There we go. I almost need to make those legs a little further apart on the tripod so that if we get a little breeze or something, it won't knock it down. I bought this little tripod in the French town of Annecy back in, I don't know, like probably 2000 or something. I've had this thing forever. I really hardly ever used it with a camera. Maybe just a couple of times, but at the time my cameras were so large I was putting on it like, you know, DSLRs and stuff. It doesn't really hold those very well except just like this, but this is fine. This gives me a nice base. I think it's pretty stable. Now I just need to put a counterpoise on it, and since we're using 20 meters, I need to pull out the 13-foot 20 meter ground wire counterpoise. And we'll hook this up. One thing I've got to be really careful of, maybe it goes without saying, is that with this antenna and that radio, I've got to make really darn sure I've got the power setting correct in there so that I don't, you know, try to pump this with too much power. Now all I'll do is just lay out this counterpoise on the ground. Let me think about this a second. I don't guess the orientation really matters too much right now. I think this may be kind of a north-south direction here, so I'm going to lay it down on the ground. The trick is, since I do this figure 8 with it, and since it's kind of a colder day, the wire has a little more memory in it than it normally would on a warmer day. So I need to stretch it out just a little bit, try to get a little bit of that memory out of it. Here we go. Let's give this a go here. It still doesn't want to go, still wants to keep some of its memory. Okay, we'll go with that. Sorry, that was pretty much off camera, but you can see what I've done here. And now I'll hook up the antenna to the antenna port here on the RGO One without knocking over anything else in the meantime. Sure, I'm getting a really good connection there. There we go. There we go. So there's the whole system right there. You don't have to use the AX1 with just, you know, Elecraft radios. You can use it with any radio you want. And if you can't mount it directly to the radio, and there aren't a whole lot you can do that, because you do need an internal antenna tuner or a capacity hat or something like that if you're using a radio that doesn't have an ATU built in it, because these little AX1s and similar antennas, they're wonderful, but they have kind of a high Q, so you can't always guarantee when you get to the field that you're going to have the right match each and every time. So, okay, let's turn this guy on. And, oh, did I plug in the power, did I? I did put in the power. Do I have a... There we go. Wait, hang on. I know what I did. You know what? I think it's this battery. I wonder if this battery is dead here. Let's see. You know what I'll do is just plug in another battery into this port here. That's probably what it is. There we go. That gives me 6 amp hours as well. Why aren't you turning on? What am I doing? Do I have a blown fuse? No, it's got power on it. It's plugged in. That came on. Is it my connector here? Huh, I'm gonna have to turn off the camera and figure this out. Okay, I'm back. You know, I'm not sure what it was. I just unplugged it and plugged it back in and it worked just fine. I'm wondering if, well, what I did was I did pull out the, fuse and I did reseat the fuse in there. Maybe that was it. Maybe it just needed a little, I've used the same ham radio workbench DC distribution panel for like, I don't know, probably 4 years or more now. And maybe that little fuse just wasn't in very well. So I pulled it out. We'll just see how this works now. It's not the radio, it's not the batteries. But I did do one thing, you know, I put these 2 batteries in parallel so that I have a total of roughly 6 amp hours worth of battery. I can't remember what the minimum requirement is for the RGO One, but I'm pretty sure that I've used it with a 3 amp hour battery in the past, so we'll see. Okay, first of all, we have to get in here to the power setting and make sure, yeah, that was up on a higher power level. Here we go. And let's go to where we want to play, down here. That's promising. Let's see if there's anybody on 61. Okay, I'm going to grab my... I have to thank Jackie one more time for this amazing key. I absolutely love the Traveler. Boy, it's a handsome preparing, isn't it? Taking a few photos here on the side too. Hope you don't mind. So don't forget to do that. Okay, let's see. Let's get the ATU going. And I like never use the ATU on this because at home I have a remote antenna tuner outside at the base of my antenna. And so I disengage all the ATU, so I haven't used the ATU in this a whole lot. Let's see here if maybe this will do it. There we go. There we go, we're doing fine now. We are cooking with gas. Now I need to speed this up a bit though. I think what I was doing was I was doing a rag chew with someone who was pretty new to CW recently. And let's see here. Let's move the speed up too. I do love this radio. Okay, let's see here. Let's go ahead and get going. I've got everything set up. Yes, I do. Let's see if we can make some waves now. Trying to remember now. Play. Is that how you do it? Play one. I can't remember. Oh, you know what? I did a firmware update on this, and that's the reason why everything's wiped out of it. So I don't have actually my CW message memories in there right now. Let's see if I'm getting spotted first. Let me see if I'm getting spotted. Okay, that's a park to park. I think I got that right. Thank you. Whoa, that's loud. Boy, that's some strong QS Baker, isn't it? Hear how signals fading in and out? Another Florida station. And 8ZW. Oh, V. That's in 8ZV. Golly, those are strong signals, aren't they? That shows you how quiet this receiver is. That's crazy. Was that an LK I heard? Wait, that's not it. Okay, K7, is that GT? Okay. Maybe this other person will come back. Oh, D. Okay. Okay. LA. Here we go. Whoops. That's Oregon, and this is LA. I need to fix my logs here though. W5LD. Gotta make sure I get everybody in here properly. W5LD. Everybody's gonna have to wait until I do this because I do not want to get my logs messed up. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay. Okay, let's see. I'll do WA2. WA2 QLK. think I got that right. When I'm not using CW message memories, it's hard for me to talk. That receiver's so insanely quiet. Okay. Yeah. QSB. Wanted to make sure he got me. Good. I couldn't really hear that W. Well, I think we can call this pairing between this antenna and this radio a success. As always, the AX1 overperforms. I guess you guys can all see this. Oh my goodness, that was loud. Powerful signal. Haven't had you in the call-ups in a while. Nice to get you in here again. Oh my goodness, okay. Okay, I just completely missed that. Okay. wonder if I'm the very first person ever to pair a Mission RGO One and an Elecraft AX1 antenna on a POTA activation. There we go, WA2 and YY. I don't know if I'm ever going to get off the air. Good to get some logs. Nice. Park to park. Getting a little sloppy with my key. $519. Oh, of course. Haven't had N3XLS in the logs in a while. Let's see. Okay. Thought I heard an L in there. Oh my goodness, I'm hearing such a... Okay, I've got to call QRT. And I'll turn it off. Okay, good. I hate it if I left somebody out in there. Okay. So, wow. Holy cow, man. This was a great activation. This is so great. The AX1 just never disappoints me, ever, ever, ever. I say that, and it'll probably disappoint me my next activation, but it never has. It's just always worked, and worked well. I mean, I wouldn't know in this particular instance if I was operating it or an infed half wave or a dipole or something. I worked all the way from Oregon to Italy with 5 watts into this little tiny antenna right here. I mean, this is just crazy, isn't it? Like, I mean, it's just so small. And a nice little, you did a good job, RGO One. You did a great job, and I promise I'm going to take you to the field more often because I do love you. So first of all, just some thoughts, a little summary thoughts here in this activation. First of all, I adore this key. I have to say, I can't believe I've been this long without a Traveler key. Jackie, I just really appreciate it. This thing is just amazing. I love the action. I'm very accurate keying with it. It's a wonderful key. Now, this is not a cheap key. If you look it up on the Begali website, it's not inexpensive. However, if you're going to hamvention, I would strongly advise you to go by the Begali booth. And, well, first of all, if you go by the Begali booth, just go ahead and pull out a bunch of money because you're going to end up spending it. But I would encourage you to go by and try out all their keys. They have a bazillion of them. And I would even say, even if you're a beginner in CW, consider looking at a Begali key if you're going, especially if you're going to hamvention, where you can really hamvention or even hamcation. I think they have it at hamcation this upcoming weekend. But you want to try them out and just see what you think about them. But they are a really, really high quality key, and I think that the quality and performance is just it's in a good place. They're expensive, but they work really well and they'll last you your lifetime. It's a real luxury to have one of these. And again, Jackie, I'm just so happy. I mean, thank you so much for gifting this to me. It was just incredibly nice of you. I love using it. I actually like the fact that you can close this up and I can throw it in my pack. And even though it's a pricey key, I don't worry about this getting hurt in my pack. You know, I take this off and it's just a chunk of, you know, CNC machined, you know, metal, and it just does a great job. The action's amazing on it. But I mean, I love my CW Morse keys, and I think that the price per wow on those is just through the roof. They've way exceeded my expectations when I first got into CW Morse keys. I think N0 SA paddles are amazing. I think is it called the Bama Key 3? I always forget the name of it, from Bamatech in Germany. I have one of those. I have yet to use it during an activation. I really love that key too. It's a really nice one. But I have to say, man, Begali keys are just hard to beat. Their paddles are just really amazing. And the Begali family is an amazing family. So love this thing. It paired really nicely with the RGO One, which is a radio. Again, I love this radio. If you're thinking about going out and getting one, you probably want to join the RGO One I think it's groups.io group, but anyway, it's an email discussion group because it is a little bit more of a hands-on radio. This isn't just a radio you go pull off the shelf like a, you know, like an IC7300 and you just start operating it. It has a lot of parameters you can set yourself, but the characteristics of the radio are just simply phenomenal. You may have noticed, even with this little antenna, I mean, I should say, despite the fact I'm using this little antenna and I'm at a park that is known for having little QRM, that the park visitor center is right there. It's not even 50 meters from me, maybe 70 meters from me. I don't think it's that far. And it does spew out QRM on the 20-meter band. And if you've been here on previous activations, you've probably noticed that sometimes. And even with the noise that comes from here, it still sounds amazing. The noise floor on this thing's just, it's just got the lowest noise floor of about any radio I own. So it has great receiver characteristics. Also has beautiful QSK. It's very reminiscent to me of like the Ten-Tech Eagle, or possibly, you know, even the Ten-Tech Argonaut 6. You know, it reminds me a lot of those. Very low noise floor, great receiver characteristics. But this is a 160 to 10 meter radio, the way it's configured now, and they're not all the same. They're kind of like an Elecraft radio in that there are modules inside. One adds 160 and 10 meters, I believe, or at least 160. There's like a noise blanker module. There's an ATU module. There are different modules that you get for it to configure it if you're buying it new. So if you buy one used, which is how a lot of people get them because not a lot of these are made, if you buy one used, you want to know what modules are in it, make sure it's going to suit your needs. The community is super supportive. You will not find a disappointed RGO One owner. I mean, I've never seen anybody really complain about this radio. It's just a great radio. And they do come up for sale. Just in the past month, 2 have come up for sale. And they were from people who bought them and loved them, but they just weren't using them a lot. And they just wanted to sell them in order to do it. You can expect, depending on how they're configured, to pay somewhere between maybe $900 to $1,100 or $1,200 if it's like really fully outfitted. I love it. And I'm very proud to have been kind of early on helping Boris with this, testing it and beta testing it and everything else. It's just such a great radio. And obviously it pairs really nice with the AX1. And so the AX1, I mean, Italy. And the Italy thing, what I wanted to say about that, you may have noticed, I try to, when I'm listening to CW, I do my best to listen for weak signals. And I'll try to work them if I hear them. And you may have noticed when you're listening along with me, and you're probably copying different call signs than I am, because we all hear different things. If I hear a really weak call in there, I'll go out of my way to work that call if I can get enough of its call sign to call them back. Now, sometimes what happens is you may hear a really weak call, but then you just have a thunderous blowtorch signal on top of them. And when they're calling, it just makes it really hard to get through. So if I don't catch the full call, then what I'll do is go ahead and work the loud station, because they don't know they're loud sometimes. I've actually been on the opposite end of the receiver. I mean, I've been receiving and worked somebody park to park when they were operating 5 watts, but to me, they sounded like they were running a linear amplifier because just conditions were good. And they were really, really strong on this end. I worked them. And then I go in and try to work the weak signals. And if you are a weak signal operator, it will do you justice to move slightly off frequency so that your pitch is just slightly different. And this Italian station did that. I4RHP did that. And this is the second time I've worked them, I think, at a park. But they were just slightly, their pitch was just slightly off. I was able to hear it and distinguish it. And I heard it in the background twice. I heard the end of their call once, but didn't know that they were an Italian station. And then when I heard them the next time, I thought, I think that sounds like an Italian station. So I went ahead and called them back. And I do try to give priority to DX like that because I'm on the other side hunting DX myself at home. And it's really nice when someone works my weaker signal. And so I try to go in and work those DX stations so they're not competing against, locals here. But man, this thing, and so the AX1, can it do DX? Yes. I'm at a lake, under a picnic shelter, not ideal conditions for operating the AX1. If you look at this whole station, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to pull the camera out here. Pull out part of the camera set up here. If you look at that, it's just very, very simple. It's just a little antenna on a teeny tripod, and that's the vertical. The vertical's so short, it doesn't even touch this beam. It's got probably a foot of clearance under this beam. I'm completely underneath this, wooden roof, down in a little bit of a depression. You can see that the land slopes up here, and then it slopes down to the lake, and then back up on the other side. So it's not even like I'm up on a prominence or something like that. I'm kind of in a little bit of a bowl. And it works just fine. Now, I will say the people who I've talked to who have an AX1 and they've had really poor experiences with it, it's usually one of two things. The biggest thing people just don't think to do is to use a counterpoise. And this antenna is way less efficient if you don't use the counterpoise. And you need to use the right counterpoise for the right meter band. So for the 20 and 17 meter band, you need to use this 13-foot counterpoise. For the 40 meter band, if you add the extension on, then you need to use the 33-foot counterpoise, I think it is. You need to use those, and then your antenna will be as efficient as it can be for a compromised antenna. I do hear from people, too, who are operating like 2.5 or 5 watt single sideband with these. And yes, it's a little more challenging with single sideband. A lot of your energy isn't going into the antenna like it is with CW. At least the 5 watts I'm running CW, you just get more energy out than you do in single sideband. especially if you're not using compression and you don't have your mic settings done correctly. It's just a lot tougher with a small antenna running QRP. It's just going to be a little tougher. But can you do it? Absolutely, you can do it. There are just so many single sideband hunters out there that you're going to be able to work your stations no problem at all. But I'm just so pleased with this. I really am. I think it's kind of funky to use like a larger tabletop radio, though, with the little AX1. And I've got another radio I'm going to hook up to this one, too. So it's not the last time I'll be doing this. Anyway, I better say goodbye. I'm going to move on. I think I'm going to work one more park today. I think I can do like a 2-park rove, if you can call that a rove, and be out of here. I will tell you how many stations did I work in total? 31. So we did 31 here in a pretty short period of time. And what a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you get a chance to go out and play some radio. Don't pay too much attention to the weather. Just get out there anyway. If you don't have a little antenna like this to go underneath a shelter, you can always just set up either a vertical or just a little wire antenna right outside of a picnic shelter at most parks, and then operate in the dry if you want to. Today, I could have actually gone out, and I don't think it's rained since I've been in here. So maybe at my next park I won't go into a shelter at all. Although the picnic tables are going to be really, really wet right now. So maybe I will go into a shelter if I go to the next one. Maybe that's what I should do is POTA, picnic shelters on the air. I think that's going to be a thing. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to one another. And until next time, 7 3s.